What's up, y'all? Season 2, episode 2 of Tug of More. Welcome.
That's right.
Glad that you're back with us. We're just two friends that are in ministry together. Talk about this tug towards more, that God has called us to something great. And there's this gap between where you are and where you want to be. And that gap is called frustration, and which is kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those days or seasons or years
Where it feels like a roller coaster?
Yeah. And so I want to talk about that roller coaster, the highs and the lows. In life and business and marriage and parenting and ministry, it's full of highs and lows. There's moments that are great where you're like, this is incredible. This is what I was called to do and we're winning. And then there's these lows where you're like, womp womp.
Yeah.
It's not going the way that I wanted it to.
Yeah. I think most of life, we live in the plane. We live in the middle. But when you are tugging and pushing for more, that means you're taking risk. That means you're putting yourself out there. That means you're probably pushing the envelope. You're doing something that maybe has never been done before. And so I think for people that push into more, we sometimes don't even know how to handle that middle piece. But it's often that a lot of our life is either a high or a low because we're experiencing a lot of different things all at once. And so something we've been talking about kind of a lot lately.
Yeah, because I mean, even for us, we feel that right now.
Yeah.
And as you're pulling towards more, you're in a high or a low a lot of times.
Right.
And the highs don't last that long.
No.
Because once you reach a pinnacle moment, once you get to a place where you've been trying to get to, there's just another mountaintop.
Right.
And so the peaks don't stay peaks for long.
Yeah.
And so for us, it feels like through COVID and through this last year, it's been extremely hard. I've never had to lead through a global pandemic before.
Right.
Maybe some people in human history have. Like, I know they have. There's like all these flus and influenzas and stuff.
Yeah.
But so it's been weird, and so there's been a lot of lows. And I think that the lows that we experience are either based in situation or expectation. Like sometimes we're in a low because of the situation.
Right.
Like we lost our job.
Right.
Somebody's sick, COVID.
Right.
There's a situation. But sometimes I think that my heaviest lows are not situational. They're expectation based.
Yes.
That I set an expectation for myself of like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want it to be. This is what I want to accomplish. And then I don't get there. And then I'm like, man, I'm the worst.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in this pit because I'm not reaching what I want to reach.
Well, you just said a thing that we've talked about a lot, that the expectation and reality, the space in between is frustration.
Yeah.
And that frustration is where you feel a low. And often it's because your expectation is higher than where your actual reality currently is. Whether it's that we're trying for something and we don't meet the goal, or whether we set the expectation higher than we should. I don't know which one it is. Sometimes for us, it's both.
Yeah.
But that causes a low. And I think when you're pushing for more, if we don't be intentional to stop and celebrate the highs, which we've struggled with, and we've talked about on this podcast before, then those lows can start to feel consistent and constant, and they can feel nagging, and they can feel heavier than they should, because it feels like, we didn't meet our expectation, and then the situation doesn't meet up to what we want, and now we're just womp womp.
Right. I remember it was over a year ago, but I was discouraged about a number of things.
Yeah.
And you came in my office, and we had like a bunch of pieces of wood that we passed out for like sermon illustration. Yeah. And we let people write Bible verses on them. And you wrote on a piece of wood, and it said, "You are not a butt."
Yes.
B-U-T-T.
B-U-T-T.
Like, you're not the worst.
No.
Like, the Bible says that we're the head and not the tail.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can feel like the tail. You just feel like, man, it's not going well. And so if you're a leader and you ever get discouraged, that doesn't mean to quit.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you stink. That doesn't mean that God's not with you. It just means, dude, sometimes there's moments, seasons, days, weeks, months that just are like trudging in sand. You ever walked in sand and you're like, you just can't make the progress, and that's a low.
Right.
And we have to be aware that highs are coming and not staying, but that lows are coming and not staying.
Right. Yeah. That was literally the verse that I was quoting when I wrote that. And the understanding, though, I think that sometimes we think that the plain moments are low moments because we are people who have high expectations.
God, you're right.
And so what happens to us so often is that we get stuck thinking this is a low when really it's just the plain.
Yeah.
And we don't like the plain because the plain is boring and simple and kind of the same as yesterday.
Yeah.
And like when you're a more person, you want it to be more. You don't want it to be the same. And so even though maybe even our more is just this little gradual incline, it feels pretty low sometimes when we're expecting to already be up here.
It's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard to know that you can do something great.
Right.
I think the hardest thing for me about leadership is knowing what I can do, but then not being there yet.
Right.
It's that.
Or what I expect that I should be doing.
Yeah.
Which,
Our dissatisfaction with the plain is the thing that leads to us feeling like we're in a valley.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating when you look and you think, okay, I'm expecting this is where I would be, but now I'm just kind of maintaining. I don't want to be maintaining. I want to be growing. I want to be pushing for more. I want to be where I'm expecting to be. And that tug and tension in between is so often feels like a fight, but it's learning to be faithful and steady and consistent and knowing that, like, I mean, it's what we teach people all the time, that our faithfulness will lead to the fruit. The Bible says, don't grow weary in doing good, because at the proper time, you'll reach the harvest. But for us, I think so often the doing good just starts to feel real mundane and it starts to feel kind of like a low. And like, I think when we are leaders pushing into more, we have to be careful to check ourselves. We have to reset our expectation all the time.
Yeah.
Because our expectation is more than where it is right now.
Yeah.
But we have to check, are we setting the right expectation for the situation, for the season we're in, for the amount of time we've been doing what we're doing, for the amount of time our team's been doing what they've been doing. And that's hard. It's hard to rebalance without letting the fear play that maybe we'll just settle.
Whenever I find myself in a moment that's down, what I try to do is build a strategy out. I try to like build a list and bullet points and an agenda and a ladder to climb out of that thing. And what I'm learning is sometimes I need to just calm the junk down.
Calm it down,
and sit there and wait for God. And I hate it. I could cry right now on this podcast. I hate it, man. I hate sitting there and waiting to get out of the heavy.
Yeah.
Because what I want to do is charge and strategize and build a plan.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to realize it is what it is.
Yeah.
You are where you are. God has you in a season of a holding pattern that you're waiting.
Yeah. We've been saying that phrase that I'm not where I want to be, but I'm better than I was.
Yeah.
And like, I think for us both, sometimes it's like, no, I just want to be where I want to be. I don't want to look back and see that I'm better than I was. But that holding pattern in that season, there's so much growth that's happening.
Yeah.
There's so much we're learning in this season of waiting, in this season of plain or low, depending on the day and what that feels like. But we're learning how, I think, to be steady and faithful in the midst of like, it's not a mountaintop yet, but like you said, but once we get there, that mountaintop's going to feel like a plain too.
Right. Which then just for the way that my brain works is whenever we're at that mountaintop moment, there's a big victory, there's increase. What I want to do right then is build the plan. And it's the same thing that I want to do when I'm in the low is build the strategy to reach the next peak. And what that leads to is that we're never content.
Right.
We're not content with what we have. We're not content with what God's done. We don't actually take time to say thank you to God, say thank you to the people around us.
Right.
If we're just the tug of more is a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we just have to be okay with where it is.
No, it'll steal the joy of where we are. It'll steal the joy of reaching that mountaintop if all we're doing is looking for the next one. But it's hard to not get, especially when you can see 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
It's hard to not get frustrated. Well, fine, I made it to this one, but man, I feel like I should have been there 2 years ago. And so it's hard to not feel out of balance in the high and low if we're not careful. The other day, my husband said to me, like, man, what you and Truston do, it feels like every day is a high or a low, like that there is no in between.
Well, sometimes there's 3 in one day.
Yeah. There can be like a phone call that's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then a meeting that's like, whoa. And it's hard to balance, but we have to learn how to be steady in the midst of it, and how to be steady in the attempt for more. And that feels like counterintuitive.
For sure.
It feels counterintuitive to say, be steady, keep tugging for more.
Yeah.
But it's necessary to stay faithful in the more.
Yeah. Man. And I talk to people all the time that are in the low, and it's the danger of the low is that you make decisions that will affect everything else.
Right.
Because you're down, because you feel bad, because you're discouraged, you're like, I'll quit.
Right.
I'll resign. I don't want to do it anymore. But like I can't make big decisions down.
Right.
We can't make big life altering decisions when we're at least not steady.
What's that old saying? Don't make permanent decisions in temporary moments or temporary emotions or whatever it is. And even though a low or a plane may feel constant for a minute, we have to check ourselves and decide, like, man, am I making this decision based in what I feel about this moment?
Yeah.
Or in what really needs to be.
Yeah.
Because the struggle with people like us who build strategy and plan is, there's always a strategy to build.
Yeah.
There's always a plan to build. And normally we can see 3 different strategies that will work. And we have to make sure we make the right call.
Yeah.
And that's hard, I think, when you feel like, no, if I'll just do this, it'll get there. But
let's talk about some moments.
Okay.
Of all 3.
Okay.
That we've been in. Okay. Let's talk about some lows.
Okay.
Some mids and some highs.
Yeah. Okay. Which one do you start with?
Well,
low?
I don't know. I mean, because the thing is, they're all so connected.
They are.
Of like, well, though they aren't, but like sometimes I'm doing great in ministry, but my personal life is struggling.
Right.
Right. Sometimes my marriage is great, but the kids are a wreck. Or sometimes my finances are good, but my health is a disaster.
No, we talked about that in our emotional health conversation, even that like it's all connected.
And we talked about it in leading and bleeding.
Oh yeah, that too.
Like that sometimes you're just bleeding out in an area, but you still have to lead.
Right.
And so there's been, man, a lot of moments that are like hard to push through.
Yeah. So, I mean,
so where do we go? I don't know. There's a lot of things that make us feel low.
Lows are an easy one, I think, to come up with because you remember the heavy things. But I can think about some transitions with our team that were heavy and low. I can think about some financial seasons in the very beginning when we were like, how are we even going to pay these bills? I can think about, man, I mean, you said it before, COVID, talk about a low of like, we had just literally had a Mountaintop Sunday. Of people screaming and cheering as we said, we're out of space. We got to go to this new, we went back to set up and tear down in a bigger venue because we were out of space in the building that we own. And when we announced to the church, you can hear it on the recording, the palpable energy, excitement, cheering of this mountaintop moment, like you said.
And then like within a month.
Oh yeah, within
like
2 weeks or something.
Hard e-brake pull, screeched to a stop. That was a tough one.
Huge.
That was like a low of like, man, what is this even going to be?
But you know what I think about that one versus some of those unexpected transitions and things like that is, of course we did. Like, of course we felt low in that. And I think because we could identify that we probably should feel low in this, it was a lot easier to navigate.
because we were allowed to, like we allowed ourselves to be there.
Because the whole world is sad. The whole world is heavy.
And it's not our fault.
It's not our fault. It's nothing we did. But it's these other ones where
I wasn't eating bats
right.
and mixing pigs and
whatever the weird whatever it is. And so like that one was easier, I feel like, even though mentally it's been taxing and heavy and like, and maybe even big picture, it's actually been more of a low in like real business moving forward, progressiveness, whatever. Emotionally, that low probably wasn't even as heavy as some of those like out of the blue staff transitions or out of the blue people who left us that we thought would be with us forever. Yeah. These moments that we were like, oh man, that's a punch in the gut of low that I did not see coming.
And all of those that you listed, and there's more, is that in those lows, you still have to perform.
Oh man.
You still have to push and be okay and lead and smile. You're not being fake. It's just what the people you're leading deserve and what they need and what your family deserves and what they need. And so
it's being a grown up.
It's being a grown up. It's leading and bleeding, but it's hard to be down on the inside and up on the outside.
It is.
And sometimes that exacerbates the whole thing and makes you feel even more low.
Right. Or makes the people around you feel low, which then in turn makes everything feel more like it's.
We've had some lows, not only in ministry, but like in life.
Yeah.
Rachel's dad came back after being gone for a lot of years and created a lot of hurt in her. Rachel and I have walked through some heavy, painful seasons. We've talked about that in sermons a bunch at Living Church. And like those are lows.
Right.
We've had major financial burdens and issues and all struggles that get you down like, man,
right.
God, have you forgotten me?
Right.
Or it makes you feel lonely.
Yeah.
Like nobody understands my struggle. But the truth is there's a lot of people that understand our struggle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have been where you are or where you might be walking through.
Yeah. I was thinking about it the other day. There's like, we've been doing this working together thing full time for about 5.5, 6 years. And I remember how I was feeling about 6 years ago, like right before we stepped into this. And I was thinking about it just because the last couple of weeks have been really busy and I've been in a lot of different places with a lot of different people. And I'm the picture person, so I'm taking pictures everywhere. And I was looking back at my camera roll and was like, wow, like I remember how I felt then. Like, I know a season of life shift is about to happen. I feel like I'm not accomplishing what I'm supposed to. God, did you forget about the things that you started, the work that you began in me? Are you serious? Did you really just lead me here to just let me be and that's it? And I was looking back at my camera roll and just thinking like, wow, look at all of this. That like right now I feel heavy. Like there's a lot we haven't yet got to.
Yeah.
And yet 6 years ago, me couldn't see all of this.
6 years ago, you would have traded it all for where you are now.
Oh, 100.
You were where we want to be.
Right.
But we're not where we want to be.
Right. And I was just looking at it like, I can't believe, that we get to do what we're doing. And so then if so, then why do I feel so heavy in it? And I think that we just have to keep checking ourselves before we wreck ourselves for real. And that of like, you read stats right now and like, the vocation that we do in pastoring right now has the highest rate of people quitting right now in this COVID season than kind of ever in history. Like there's so many people that are just giving up on what's really hard right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I got to check myself in these low moments and remind myself what you just said before. This too shall pass.
And I should put out a caveat that if you attend Living Church, we're okay.
Oh, no,
like I know that we're talking about a heavy thing.
No.
And like, yeah, it's a heavy year, but like
right.
We are okay.
Right.
Just we've realized that this is something we have to talk about.
No, it's what it is of like, I don't care.
I just don't want people watching be like,
no,
man, Pastor Truston's depressed.
No, this is who we are.
Right.
We just share. And this is a conversation you and I were just having of like, man, there's a lot of highs and lows in this. And we have to, because we want to be good stewards of everything God's given us in life, that includes this conversation to be a good steward of understanding my own emotional health in the journey of highs, lows, and the in-between.
you had mentioned it about the staff transitions, and we've done a couple teachings on that.
Yeah.
I think that other people is one of the things that hurts the most and leads to lows.
Oh, for sure.
Which is like other people are not always our responsibility. Like if you have a family member or a coworker or something that is really screwing it up, that can pull you into a low, but remembering that that's not on you.
Right.
Like that's not your fault.
If they don't get it, if they
Right.
haven't figured it out, if they get frustrated.
Yeah.
No, I think that is a huge one.
Yeah.
In the people that we love, but then also the people that we encounter in it of like, you and I talk about sometimes like feeling like, is anyone else like with us in this of this? Not that our team and not that, but just that like emotional energy of push in it. Sometimes it feels heavy and you feel like, especially because we've had people that have left before, are they going to leave again? You know, all of that. It's real. You have to talk about it and know it, because when we've identified it, it makes it easier to keep going.
For sure.
No, it's huge.
Normal things always feel heavier in low moments.
Right.
Like just normal day-to-day tasks, the job, whatever, feels way heavier when you're already kind of in the dumps.
Well, that's something we
but
talked
when
about.
when you're living on top of the world,
Right.
you can pick up anything and carry anything. And
the momentum of that
yeah,
can allow you to pick up more weight even when you probably maybe shouldn't. Like you and I, we talked about, maybe it was in just a heavy personal season, I can't remember, that like when you're carrying something heavy, picking up 10 more pounds, something that normally would be light, can sometimes be crushing.
It'll break you. Like if we're in the gym and we're doing like really heavy squats or something, it's amazing how you can do a rep with one.
Right.
And my workout partner will literally sometimes put a 5-pound weight on each side of the bar. It's only 10 pounds.
Right.
And you go down in the squat and you're stuck.
Yeah.
You cannot, it's only 10 pounds, but it's the straw that broke the camel's back. And so, man, I feel like there's people out there that want to quit and shouldn't. There's people that want to throw in the towel and they shouldn't. Or they have thrown in the towel in their like effort, or they're trying and they say it's too hard, I'm just going to coast.
Right.
So I'm going to stop tugging. No. Don't stop tugging towards more. Don't stop believing that you can do great things because you can quit and not quit.
I was waiting for you to break out in song.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah. I've already sang Journey on this podcast a bunch of times.
I know, I was waiting for it.
But don't quit even though you're there. It's like in marriage.
Right.
There are plenty of people that are still married, but they're divorced.
Right.
They live in the same house, they sleep in the same bed, but they're not together.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of pastors that are still the pastor of the church, but they're not there.
Right.
They're an employee in an organization. They're not committed heart and soul.
Right. There's leaders and bosses who are checked out of what they're doing and just hoping their employees keep it going.
But it's because they get in this funk and in this low, and they don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
So you got to pray. You've got to trust God. If you haven't built a plan, build a plan. And you've got to celebrate the little steps.
Yeah.
Celebrate the little steps. God, I'm the worst at it. I really am. I'm the worst at celebrating where we are compared to where we were.
Yeah.
Because all I can focus on is the next milestone.
Yeah.
But that's not fair to myself.
No.
That doesn't leave me content ever.
Right. Which then isn't fair to the people around you, your family, the people you love. And we've identified that for ourselves in seasons like, man, I have to take a look back. We were just the other day having kind of a conversation of more, a push into more. And we were like kind of frustrated at some things that were like, if we could just do this one thing, it would break through. If we could just do this, it would be, and we were kind of, and then like later that day, you were like, hey, do you remember 2 years ago? And you like called out some stuff of where we had been and where we were, which for both of us was a huge step of one, that we did that. We took the time to do it. Yeah. But then two, it made us like, okay, let's take a deep breath and look at where we are. Yeah. Let's look at, where we want to be, but let's keep tugging. It makes it easier to regrip and keep going.
When you remember the progress.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're in the mountaintop, we'll go to the plain last, I guess.
Okay.
Valley, mountaintop. When you're in the high moments, what should you do there? Because what I do is I say like, awesome. Well, how do we get better? literally, I think we've talked about it before that
No.
on an Easter Sunday.
Yeah, you grabbed us all in a room and like started planning for the next thing. And we were like, wait,
Like,
hold
it's
on.
literally, I'm still in my Easter jacket. We're still
Yeah.
in the building, and I've got a marker in hand, and I'm beating the thing up and talking
Yeah.
about, and like, again, it's a gift and a curse. But so when we're in the mountain high top winning moments, we've got to look around.
Yeah.
At my wedding,
That's literally what I was about to say.
we've been friends a long time. At my
No,
wedding,
I was going to say it about my wedding.
oh, at my wedding, somebody told me, "Hey,
No.
Truston,
That's exactly what I was going to say.
look around."
It's ridiculous. No, they
Hey,
told
Truston.
me take a mental picture in your mind. And
Yeah.
I remember doing it. Maybe they told us that because they knew who we were as people
They
back
said,
then.
they said, look around, remember what's happening.
Yeah,
Talk to people, touch them, eat a piece of cake.
right.
Like, be at your wedding,
Be here. Be present.
because, and they told me that, and it helped a little,
Yeah.
because I am, it's like in the moment I'm in work mode.
Yeah.
I'm rarely
No,
in,
it's true.
I'm rarely in experience mode.
Yeah.
I'm working it, not experiencing it.
Yeah.
And so I now have to try to help myself when I'm working.
Right.
No. When I'm at a high,
Yeah.
when I'm at a victory moment, I have to try to tell myself, hey, look around,
Yeah.
feel it,
Yeah.
celebrate it. Thank God.
I remember.
Thank the team around you.
Right. I remember a few years ago, we did a Christmas service, and we did multiple Christmas services back to back to back, and we were getting a team picture. And I remember that some volunteers showed
Yeah.
up, and one of them brought their like grandma with them, and so we were like, are they first time guests? We don't know who they are. And so we were experiencing the photo booth moment with our team taking a picture. And I remember you being like, do we need to go? We just need to go, don't we? And I was like, no, we need to experience it. And we had a little like, meh, 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 but not bad, but just like, no, let's stay here. Let's do it. It's 2 more seconds. Let's push through. But now that's become such a part of our culture for our team that we celebrate this moment by
Yeah.
taking a picture together and like
Yeah.
having this moment. And like, but what it was is that we were in this work mode of we need to have our people set, blah, blah. Well, we didn't know who she was. She got there 35 minutes early with these people.
Yeah.
But we're allowed to experience too. And I think as leaders, we feel, you and I are the park in the way back. I have a picture of both our vehicles at some event where we
Yeah.
had parked way, way, way in the back.
Yeah.
And I had posted it like, we're ready for you, lots of parking spaces, something like that. But you and I, our cars were way in the back. Why? That's who we are as leaders, is
Right.
like, I'm going to get the plate last. I'm going to park in the way back. I'm going to make sure everybody else has a great experience. But we have to not forget to experience it too.
I was so mad yesterday. We had a party at your house.
Oh, this is why.
It's why. Oh, yeah, so
But
mad.
Aaron
No,
talked about you
but
after you left and
but
said
I
who
wasn't,
you were.
But I wasn't mad.
No, you weren't mad, but you're hungry.
we were hungry. We had a big intern like lunch.
Yes.
And I'm waiting for all the interns to eat. Those joggers ate every piece of meat
Yeah.
on some fajita tray, and I'm just standing there starving to death. Preached services. It's like 3:30. All I've eaten is a protein bar and those egg bites because I'm trying to do good.
Yeah. No,
Anyways.
No, I'm going to finish telling
Okay.
it. What happened was, or at least my husband told me this after you
Yeah.
left, that you picked up the plate.
Yeah.
And then someone said there was 2 more kids that hadn't shown up yet because they were serving
Yeah.
and doing teardown at the church. And they said, oh, these kids are here. They haven't gotten a plate. And there was like just enough meat left for like 2 more tacos. And so
Yeah.
you put your plate down and they didn't get to eat.
Right.
I didn't put any meat on my tacos. So I guess that's why I guess
but you're
mine was late.
a vegan.
No, yeah, whatever, something. And so
There's not beef in my
sometimes-
fajita. It's not a fajita.
Right.
It's a
and
disappointment.
So, yeah, but the sacrifice of that's who you are. And so what he laughed about it and he's like, but that's who my friend is. That's
Right.
what he does. And so it's who you are, but we're learning that it's not wrong to also experience it.
Right.
Yes, we will give them the best experience first.
Right.
But we can't forget to give ourselves the experience or we
Right.
never actually experience it.
Yeah. We have to learn how to get out of work mode
Yeah.
and out of being so driven and out of being so focused. Because if all you are is driven, dude, you're going to burn down. And I feel a little convicted right now, even talking about it.
Yeah.
That like sometimes I'm so driven towards more that I'm just burning my own self down and I'm burning people around me down, trying to pull everybody towards something.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've talked about before the very first time that we had dinner was because I was like, I love this Rachel lady. Let's have you guys over for dinner.
Yeah.
But I had not yet met you in a real setting. I
Right.
had only known you as Truston, the leader pastor man who's in charge of this church that my husband and I just started helping be a part of.
Yeah.
And so you were in work mode every time I had met you up until that point.
Because it's funny because now almost 11 years ago, we've been saying 10 for so long. It's coming up on our 11th birthday.
Right.
I was the crazy wild youth pastor for my whole life. And so then now we're like into this adult ministry role. And so I literally put on a suit and a jacket.
And a tie. I haven't seen you not in a tie.
And I had to make the shift. It wasn't who I was.
No.
But I was trying to.
You told yourself you needed to make
told myself, don't be wild, man. Lead. And it wasn't who I was.
It wasn't who you were.
Okay. So we've got to celebrate and look around and remember it.
Yeah.
And be realistic enough to know that nobody lives on top of a mountain.
Well,
you know who lives on top of the mountains? Those tiny little goats. That's probably it. And the abominable snowman, nobody's ever seen him.
No.
You can't.
Even Iron Man lived on the side of a mountain, not the
Iron
top.
Man? Oh, yeah, on the house.
The house.
Nobody lives on the peak.
Tony Stark, not Iron Man.
Yeah,
whatever.
Nobody lives on the peak of the mountain. But this is what we want to do. We want to be cutting edge and on the precipice and towards more and growth.
You're making fun of your own self.
I'm making fun of my own self, but how immature and arrogant at the same time is it to think that you can be almighty alpha leader every minute? That's stupid. Even Jesus cried.
Right. Jesus wept. It's in the Bible.
God, even Jesus, dude got straight murdered. And I'm over here like, I better do a better job. But it's, it's just
what we do. It's what happens.
Realizing that you're not always at the top.
No.
And that you weren't at the bottom as long as you thought.
Right. No, that's the truth of it, of being able, you said it before though, not only to experience it yourself, celebrate it, pay attention to it, know that it's not going to last forever, and then appreciate those who are with you at the top in those moments.
Yeah, and then while you're down in your low, don't be looking at somebody else's high.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you skipped what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
But that's
I
fine.
apologize. Go, say it again.
No, you have to appreciate.
I'm about to amen it.
I know. No, stop.
I need a keyboard.
I'm just saying, no, I'm saying you have to also appreciate the people who are with you at the top.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who helped you get there.
Yeah.
And sometimes because of our drive to more, we're like, okay, good job. Now let's go. And we have to wait a minute. And we're doing better. We just the other day did a great event and took our team to celebrate and actually found some great fruit out of that we'll tell about later. But from this moment of celebration, we have to just keep celebrating, not just for ourselves, but for the people that we're leading. And so if we're tugging into more and we want to keep going into more, we're not going to go there by ourselves.
Yeah.
But the only way we're not going to go there by ourselves is if we keep appreciating the people around us in those high moments.
Right, because they helped carry all the junk to the top of the mountain.
They sure did.
And
this shirt you're wearing is a conference that we did. And you and I, you know what we did? Wrote some words on a page and showed up and said them out loud.
Yeah.
Everybody else did everything else.
Right. Yeah. And it's easy for me to look at the conference and beat it up because it could be better.
It could be, but it was great for what it was.
Yeah.
For the first time and for where we are and for the team that carried it. Oh my word.
I mean, think about it. Think about it for real. Think about if we took 15 people to climb a mountain.
Right.
And we climbed it and it's snowing and there's people falling down in cracks and stuff.
They're getting a frostbite on their fingertips.
Yeah, getting frostbite.
Right.
Someone got the toe chopped off.
Right.
And we get to the top and we plant the Living Church flag and we're there for 1 minute. And then I'm like, but look at that mountain. And it's everybody would be like, this dude is a jerk.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to sign off of this podcast so I can go and apologize to everybody that I'm leading.
I'm proud of this moment because I feel like we're having our real conversation out loud on a podcast. We're doing good, but it's true. Our team is cheering us on right now.
Yeah.
But it's true. We do that and we have to recognize that we got to take some time to rest and to celebrate and that's just been hard for you and I. And I think we don't realize sometimes that because we've just gone from mountaintop to mountaintop trying to, that's why we feel low. Because probably most people tumble back down the hill.
Yeah.
That's probably what happens to them.
A part of the pace of trying to keep climbing, I think for me, is I was so scared. Not scared. It was so close on the verge of death.
Right.
That that like the organization was in such shambles
5.5 years ago,
that if I didn't, if I didn't just pull my way up the side of the cliff, it would all die. And so
you need to write yourself a check for $125 for your counseling session. That is a great understanding.
Because
it's great wisdom.
And then you're still you've been in a plane for 3 years. We've been in the plane for 3 years.
That's great wisdom.
But my mentality sometimes is still, oh crap, if I don't pull, I'm going to die.
Well, you know,
and so it's the difference between survival and surviving and thriving.
Yeah. You know that feeling like if you do clench your fist for a long time and then you try to like, they're still like stuck that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, what you're saying, I'm like, yes, that's such great identification of if you've been at the bottom before and had to climb your way up. No wonder you just keep thinking climbing is the way to go always.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you thought.
No, it's a reset. But yeah, there's the other side of that coin.
This is what you do every time.
What?
You're going to come up with the caveat on the other side of it.
No. The other side of the coin is that I don't want to get soft, I think. So, like, I don't want to be Rocky Balboa getting beat up by Clubber Lane.
Who thinks it's possible for Truston Babbitt to be soft? You're not going to, though.
No, yeah, I know.
No, we have to know our natural bend. So some people are soft and they need to firm up. They need to man the junk up or woman the junk up. You're not ever going to do that.
Yeah.
You're not.
No.
You're terrified that you will, but you never will. And also you've set your life up to be. And so I think, yes, the tension of more in the high and then the plane. So we need to go to the plane now.
Okay.
Is the fear in the plane is that we'll just stay there.
The fear of the plane for me is comfortability.
Right.
And so I've seen so many leaders in every aspect of ministry and business and whatever, is they get to this point where like their bills are getting paid.
Right.
And like they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And so they're like, let's just build a house and plant a garden and never go anywhere. And this is the reason that churches grow to 300.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So a church kind of gets to 300.
Or they grow and then they do this.
Yeah. Or they get to 500 and then they dip back to 4 and then they just live there because guess what? At that point, the church can financially sustain a pastor and he can have, or she can have a couple people on staff. And it's comfortable. Like, dude, I could go golf every day. I don't like to golf. I could go on vacation and I could take time off and bring people in to preach. And so it'd be really easy for me to stop tugging because I've made it. And so that's what I'm saying about, I don't want to be Rocky Balboa getting soft, living in a mansion while Clubber Lane sneaks up and then kicks my butt, being the devil, right? Yeah. Is that the plane just feels plain. The plane feels safe.
Yeah. Right. But however, also because we recognize that you did this, I don't remember the percentages, but you figured this out even in a message that you shared.
Yeah.
But isn't it that there's fewer high mountaintops than there is valley lows?
Substantially lower.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the trouble is if we don't learn how to be not comfortable but content in the plane,
the majority
of our life will feel like a low, and that is the struggle.
No, this is what I do to myself is that because it's not mountaintop, I call it low.
Right.
But it's not low, it's plain.
Yeah.
And
I think the enemy's biggest trick is to get us to think.
Right. So maybe you're out crying right now. Maybe you clicked on this podcast because you have been feeling low, but what you really need to hear is that your life isn't that bad.
Right.
You think it sucks. You think it's not enough. You think that you aren't winning, but it's just because your perspective is skewed. You're actually doing a great job. God's proud of you. You've made a lot of progress. You're winning in 100 areas. You just feel that tug of more.
Yeah.
And don't let the tug of more shove you into a hole in your mind, in your heart, in your mentality.
No, it's super good. I mean,
it's a balance. It's hard to balance.
No, balance is hard. But it's also a tension. It's not just balance, but it's like finding the right tension to keep us stable and sturdy, but to know that like we're not just sitting, we're balancing until we go to the next right step. And so we have to get okay with the plane, because what happens for most people is the plane gets boring and they eject in life somewhere, whether it's in their actual job, in their family, in their friend group, whatever it is. And
there's no more thrill.
yeah. But if we don't get content in the plain, then we're not going to be content in anything in our life. And we will not enjoy the mountaintops because eventually we won't have any more mountaintops if we can't figure out how to be content.
No, it's really good.
In the plain.
You visit the mountain. You visit the highs, but you live in the plain. You gotta
live there.
And the plain's going to keep growing. My plain today is the mountaintop of my yesterday.
Correct. Right.
Just
correct.
if we can remember that, then we'll be able to keep going.
And I think the only way is to keep looking back and to take those mental notes to celebrate that. Like, yeah, my wedding, I do remember a lot of snapshot mental images from that day that somebody told me to take, and I remember them. But what's true is that when I look at my relationship with my husband now versus that on that day, it's so much deeper. It's so much richer. It's so much sweeter. And so I'm glad that I'm not back at that mountaintop moment because I've made so much progress from there. And so we have to keep celebrating. What?
No, it's really good. It's really good. When I said it, and I don't want to talk a lot about it long, but when you're in the valley, when you're in the low, it's not fair to compare where you are to somebody else's mountaintop.
Oh yeah, let's go to that though.
Because that's jacked, man.
No, it's jacked.
It's jacked to compare your experience, your season to somebody else's.
And you don't know how many toes they lost in frostbite along the way.
Right. Or how many friends were killed.
Or how many people died. Yeah, you don't know.
Yetis can't coming out and eating people.
Right. You don't know what meals ready to eat, food they had to eat that was gross.
Murray.
Yeah, you don't know. And so we just compare mountaintop to mountaintop. We don't compare the plain that they've been in.
Or is it really even a mountaintop, or are they just standing on a trash can in their backyard getting their picture taken? You know what I'm saying? Because like social media is a lie.
Right, it's a lie.
It's a lie, man.
No, it's a lie. And so often we get all jacked in our thoughts of where our mountaintop should be based on somebody else's, and that's not. It's something we said the other day. We have to compare it to yesterday, not to their mountaintop, and it's super true.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I just think that's a really good thing. I think we did a good job. We had a real conversation.
Yeah.
We didn't have any notes.
Yeah.
And
we've been fighting all day. We've been fighting all day.
Hey, a little bit, but it's all right. No. But like, subscribe, comment, tag, share us, all the things. The only way that we keep knowing the right conversations to keep having it is if you tell us what's up. And so hopefully you are tugging into more by learning how to be content in the plain. But if you have questions, let us know. We'd love to talk about it.
See y'all.